Good morning, I'm Meteorologist Joe Fitzwater with a quick update on the severe weather threat here for this afternoon into the evening hours across the tri-state. We're going to talk about that and then the major cold air that we're going to be expecting here as we head into this weekend. This is the current Storm Prediction Center outlook here for this afternoon into tonight. And they did bump that area of 2 out of 5 for severe weather a little farther back up to the north. Most of the area where you see the green here, that's where we're looking at a 1 out of 5 threat. So before we continue here with this video, I want to emphasize this is not going to be a widespread severe weather event today, but a couple of storms will likely be on the stronger side here as we head toward later this evening, especially the farther south you are. In fact, once you get out of our area, that's where that threat increases even more. That's where we have the 3 out of 5 risk for parts of Tennessee, North Carolina, eventually down into Georgia, which Georgia, along with the South Carolina area, was hit very hard by tornadoes yesterday. So that's kind of the last thing that they need. Now, as far as some of those issues that we could be looking at here for today, unfortunately, could be looking at maybe a brief funnel or two, again, especially across our far southern counties, where you see that green shaded area. That's where we're looking at a 2% risk of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of a single location. And where you see that brown down across parts of southern Kentucky and Tennessee, that's where we're looking at a 5% risk for that. Damaging wind gusts also going to be an issue, 5% for most of the area, but you get down into the yellow area, that's a 15% risk of seeing this within 25 miles of an area, and it's a 30% down toward the Knoxville area there in Tennessee. So that's kind of what the Storm Prediction Center is thinking. Now, as far as what we can expect here, we'll go into this just a little bit. First off, we'll show some of the short-term modeling that's taking place, and this is for late this morning into the early afternoon, expecting a complex of showers, not thunderstorms, here across the tri-state during the lunchtime period. So this is at 1 o'clock, 2 p.m., falling apart here. But you can kind of see here by 2 o'clock, we're starting to see a line beginning to congeal here across parts of central Kentucky. And that's what we're going to be keeping an eye on here as we head into the afternoon. In fact, by 3 o'clock, there is that line starting to get its act together across central Kentucky, parts of Tennessee, and that's going to start to work its way, going to start to make itself to the east here as we head into the afternoon. So this is 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Now notice that by 6 o'clock, we're starting to see that line weaken just a bit here. And the timing of this is going to come into play as to whether we see a lot of severe weather. The later that this line shows up, the less our chances for severe weather. But you get the idea here. We could still have some embedded damaging wind gust risk here where you see some of the brighter oranges and yellows showing up here on the short-term model. And then that's at 7 p.m. This is 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. So we've got a small window from around 6 p.m. to around 9 p.m. where we could see some severe weather here across the region. We'll say 5 p.m. just to cover our friends in southern Ohio and eastern Kentucky. So from 5 p.m. to perhaps as late as 9 p.m., we could see a couple of isolated damaging wind gust storms, as well as perhaps a rotating storm or two, especially farther down to the south. Now, why are we concerned about the severe weather risk? There are not a lot of parameters in place here that warrant the risk for severe weather. In fact, if you look at the amount of CAPE, the available energy that we have, it's not a lot. We get a little nose of it right around this afternoon. But folks, we're talking about maybe 100, 200 joules of CAPE. So it's even lower than what we were looking at yesterday. And again, this is just the amount of available energy for these storms to utilize in the atmosphere. This is the first time that you're tuning in. So we don't have a lot of energy to use, but there is a ton of wind energy that we're going to have available here. I'm going to go back to this afternoon where you see the oranges and the purples. That's where we have a lot of wind energy available. So that's why that damaging wind risk, as well as perhaps a brief weak tornado risk, also cannot be ruled out here this afternoon. And it's kind of a complex system. I'm going to show the fronts here real quick. And we're not looking at the actual cold front itself right now until we head toward this afternoon. So by 2 p.m., what's going to happen is we're going to have a warm front that's going to lift up to the north. So we're going to be in the unstable sector of the storm system, and that's where we're going to be seeing that warm and humid air start to work its way in. So we might only be in the upper 50s, maybe around 60 degrees by noontime, but I think by the end of this afternoon, before the rain starts, we'll be into the 70s. And it's not until we're in this warm sector that we start to see those chances for severe weather increase. Notice that at 2 o'clock, that warm front is not lifted up to the north across northern parts of West Virginia, and those are areas that are not going to be likely to see severe weather because they just don't have that warm air in place. So we look at 0Z, which is at around 8 p.m. this evening, and that warm front just makes its way up to maybe northern West Virginia, but that's not really enough time to get the atmosphere destabilized. It's basically going to be from about the US 33, I-64 areas and points south where we're looking at the risk for severe weather here today, and that's where we get that warm, humid air. We also have the interaction of the front itself that we have to take into consideration as well. So with that being said, we can look at some different parameters just to kind of get a better idea of that severe risk. So we can look at the supercell composite. This is a tool that I usually don't pay attention to too much until we get around 1 to 2 on the value scale. And if you notice here by 21Z, which is at 5 p.m., if I can get this in the right spot here, there we go. Yeah, we're looking at 2, 3, even close to maybe 4, 5 across parts of eastern Kentucky. And that's why we've got to watch areas, again, primarily south of the US 33 I-64 corridors. Notice that once you get up to around the Spencer area, that value is around 0 to 1. And I'll fast forward this to 8 p.m., and you can see it's the same deal. So it's a small window that we're looking for the risk of severe weather here across the region for today. It's not a big risk. It's not going to be a widespread risk. But nonetheless, we're going to have a couple of strong storms likely later on. Another tool that we can use is the significant tornado parameter. And I don't really pay attention to this until we get to around values of 1, and we don't even get to that here today, but it is out there. Notice that we do see that tongue show up here around 6 p.m. Those are values of between 0.5, 0.75, and it does get to around 1 in eastern Kentucky. So that's why we have to be a little bit careful here as we head toward this afternoon. Again, between 5 p.m., 9 p.m. primarily is what we're looking at. That's a severe weather risk today. By 9 p.m., our risk is over. And I'll show the high-res models one more time here before we wrap things up. Real quickly, wanted to talk about this cold air that's going to be working its way into the area here later on this week behind this front. So this is what we're looking at here this morning. That is some extremely cold air across parts of Minnesota, Iowa. If this was in the middle of December or January, we'd be likely talking about temperatures possibly below 0. That's how potent of a cold air mass that this is. It's working its way through parts of the country. And it's going to bowling ball itself into our area here as we head into Thursday, especially Friday into Saturday. So we get into Friday afternoon, and really the strength of this cold air really starts to arrive. In the meantime, everything balances itself out. It's very warm out west, but very cold in the eastern U.S. here for Friday as well as Saturday. This kind of tends to hang around here for a couple of days, and I think Sunday is even going to be on the chillier side before we finally see things begin to warm back up. Now, with that being said, with that cold air in place here for the weekend, the following week looks very warm. In fact, I think we'll be seeing temperatures returning to the 70s and perhaps even 80s here as we head toward the second week of April. So quite a swing that we're going to be looking at. Again, one last time here for those that are just now tuning in. We're looking at a small severe weather risk here this afternoon with a line of showers and thunderstorms. Again, damaging wind gusts will be the biggest risk, but I can't rule out perhaps an isolated weak funnel across our southern counties. Again, the primary threats are going to be along and south of the US 33 I-64 corridor. So if you're in southern Ohio, your risk is very low today. But you get down toward parts of eastern Kentucky, toward the Pikeville area, and that risk does begin to increase here. And the good news is we get through around 9 p.m. This is what we're looking at 9 o'clock. By 9 p.m., that severe weather risk is going to be over. So again, between 5 p.m., 9 p.m. is what we're looking at here for that risk of severe weather. And the Storm Prediction Center, I believe, is highlighting this very well. They're showing a 1 out of 5 for basically areas near and south of the US 33 corridor. It's a 2 out of 5 for areas across parts of southeastern Kentucky and western Virginia. Now, we'll continue to keep you updated on air and online at wwktv.com. If we do have any warnings, of course, we'll get you updated and alerted on my Facebook page, Joe Fitzwater Meteorologist, and on Twitter at MeteoJoe. Stay safe out there. Of course, don't be scared. Be prepared. We'll have the latest watches and warnings available to you. And otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy the warm weather because it is going to get cold as we head toward this weekend.